Preview is loading. Okay, good. Live stream is up. So let's get our monitors ready.
Yeah. Oh, the title's not in there. The title's not in there.
Not yet. Oh, it's live. Why? Wow, we are already live. How did that happen?
We are live and we don't have a title. Maybe the title doesn't come through on my live.
You're right. Let me see.
So this is
went
maybe the title.
Just went live automatically.
So are we still live?
We are live. It seems that we are live. Let me put in music.
Okay. Okay, so I just
Okay, good morning, everybody, and we are live over at Exponential Traction. Hello, everyone. So let me ask you, or let me tell you this: you're not listening. Now, how many of you have ever used that statement in?
You're not listening.
No. You're not listening.
No, you're not listening.
You're not listening.
Listen. I don't know what it takes for me to get you to hear me.
What do you mean? What are you saying? No, this is what he said, but no. Listen.
Yeah, you listen.
Are you listening? How many of you have ever used that argument or that line in arguments, ladies and gentlemen? Right? So conversations break down because people feel that they are not listened to. And we raise our voices in the hope that the other party would be able to hear us, but often this makes the other person just shut down. How many of you can relate to that? Type relate in the comments box. So that is why I joined the conversation live right now over here in Exponential Traction as we talk about how to communicate better so we feel acknowledged, heard, and recognized in relationships. Well done. How are you, Annie Callis, all the way from Australia? How are you today?
I'm awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. And I hope that got your attention. I am a relationships architect, so let me introduce myself. And we have created these live events 3 times a week minimum. Sometimes we'll do 5, but on Wednesdays we talk about relationships. So this is sort of my spot, and we're going to be talking about all matters intimate relationships. And not just intimate relationships doesn't just mean with your significant other, because you can have intimate relationships with your children, with your parents, with your co-workers, with your friends, with whoever else. And the whole idea is to learn to have the right foundations on how to have great and fulfilling relationships. So this is what I do. I work with couples and I help them turn their life around and heal their broken or hurt relationships and get them to create the type of life that they want. So I call it delicious relationships. So today we're going to be talking about effective communication. But before we start to get into it, I mean, we got into it already. And I tell you what, guys, this wasn't planned. This wasn't planned. And what we just did and what just happened right now is the first key in having an effective communication. However, we'll talk about that later. I would like to introduce you to Mac Comandante. He is the founder of Success Academy, and I am over the moon to be actually being in joint venture with him over the last, we joint ventures last year, and I'm just loving where this is going to go this year. So Mac, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you, Annie. Good morning, everyone, all the way from here from the Philippines. If you're from Australia, then good afternoon, or whatever may be the case for you. My name is Mac Comandante. I'm an international trainer and coach. And over the past 5 years alone, I've coached and trained over 20,000 entrepreneurs, helping them remove constraints towards exponential growth. Okay, I'm also involved in several startups. You can see them here in the background. And how many of you agree with me that the size of your sales, okay, how effective your businesses are, is really a function of how well you are communicating inside. And this also talks about the quality of your relationships. Yes, type yes in the chat box if you agree with me. And if you're finding our topic today useful for you, then go ahead, click on the share button. Okay, share this conversation so that more people would be able to join us here. This is being streamed live over several channels in Success Academy, in my own page, in the YouTube channel of Annie, and in several other places. Okay, so wherever may be the case for you, just go ahead, type hi, or let us know where you're from in the comments box as we are monitoring these different channels as well. So with that, very quick shout out, Coach Liz Acosta, who is in the Success Academy page. Good morning to you. Okay, so again, today we're going to be talking about how to communicate better so that you can feel acknowledged, heard, and recognized in relationships. Okay, well done. So what's the first context around this one, Annie? I'm going to bounce this off to you. I know this is your domain. Okay, so I'm also very excited with regard to this. Coach Beth. Hi, Coach Beth. Glad to hear and learn from you from Bulacan. Okay, good. Okay, Annie, what are your initial thoughts around this?
So for those of you that have seen the beginning or are watching the replay, what we did is we bounced off each other. And the secret to that was, so this was not planned at all, but I was very present and so was Mac. So the key to having great communication in a relationship, to have effective communication, is to be present. So as soon as Mac started talking, I thought, wow, let's do role play, because it's really great to show how this manifests in all relationships, because many people say this: you are not listening. People want to be heard. They really want to be heard. And it is one of the key factors in the breakdown of many relationships. People don't feel heard. And in general, in intimate relationships, so I work with a lot of couples, so in intimate relationships, the reason why women pull away from intimacy is because they don't feel heard and they don't feel understood. So the usual communication, so I'm sure for those of you that are in relationships, have been in relationships, you will really relate to this. So say yes in the comments box below. Is that, have you ever been in this situation where it's like, you're not listening, but you're not listening. And the person goes, yes, I'm hearing you. Big distinction. So the whole thing here is there was huge presence. And as soon as I did what I did, Mac was on it. And then it just made the whole thing play out really well, because we both connected to what effective communication is. So he knew what I was doing straight away. And why? Because he was 100% present to what I did and what I said. And that is just so important in business, in your business life and in your personal life. These things that we talk about, they're relevant in both of our lives. Whether Mac talks about startups, what's a startup? Do you want to say what a startup is, Mac?
Well, simply put, let's just, so there are different dimensions of a startup. Okay, you can have a tech startup, or let's put it simply as someone who would like to start a business.
That's right. So when you look at that, that's in the business arena. In a personal arena, a startup is the startup of a relationship.
Mm.
If you really look at the foundations of many things, you can move them across the two different area of your life, which is one is personal and one is professional, right? But the foundation and the basis of everything is the same. Because I can tell you, if you do what you do in your personal life to grow, it will, without fail, I could almost swear on this, I've got my hand up, is that you could bring that into your professional life.
Mm.
And if you're doing professional development, but some of this is relevant to your relationship to your clients, that works, bring that home. In a lot of relationships, the home life doesn't work, but the business life work. Well, if you analyze what's working in your business life, the way you pay attention to your clients and their needs, take that home. Don't take it for granted because you think that person at home is loving you, because they're only going to love you for a particular amount of time. And this goes both for men or women.
So, Annie, what is really happening here? I mean, you know, that line where, okay, you're not listening. Stop for a moment and just listen. But if you're observing this from a third party standpoint, you can see that those people are actually talking to each other, right? The volume just keeps on increasing and increasing and increasing. Okay, and you'd hear those lines. Okay, you are not listening. What is really happening there in the background? Okay, because again, you're right. I totally agree with you that it's not only about romantic relationships, even in business. Okay, you know what has happened over the past 2 years? I've seen a lot of organizations break down. Okay, and people even leaving their jobs, they're saying, "Oh, yeah, I just don't like this energy anymore." Okay, and then
Yeah.
they attach that with a person. I don't like your energy. You are so toxic. Okay, so
Yeah.
I might as well just go and leave. Okay, this space is not for me. But in your experience, I know you've coached a lot of people around this context. What is really happening here?
Yeah, so I think what's happening here is, and I can use this from my experience and the breakdown of my marriage.
Mm.
And I've been talking a lot about this. Whilst I was married, this part didn't work. And now it works. So I actually just had breakfast with my former husband, right? And he called me and said, "Do you want to have coffee?" I said, "Are we eating? Because I'm hungry." He goes, "Yeah, all right." So we just spent an hour and a half. And why? Because it has to be heart-centered listening and intentional listening. You want to listen with the intention that you want to understand the other person. And that goes to personal and professional. And for example, in a professional arena, it's like, this is where the ego takes over, but I use the word ego. I would prefer to call it the little voice. The fears that the people might not understand us, or they don't want our product, or our partner's not going to understand what I'm trying to relay. So there's a lot of emotion, heightened emotion attached to it. So then the way it comes out our mouth could be demanding, could be, based on a particular expectation that we have, that we want. But we are not listening to what's coming back.
Mm.
So, but when it's heart-centered and not ego-centered, and I'm not saying, and we got to be very careful with this word ego or egomania or egomaniac. It's ego-centered, which means we're trying to protect ourselves. The ego is there to protect us. It's not there to demean us or to make us small. It's trying to protect us. But we need to be very aware of what is happening and where we are feeling what we're feeling. We're not feeling it in our head, we're feeling it in here. The fear is in here, and then the thought comes with it. Oh, okay, this can happen. And then we create the stories. But when we're listening with intention, we want to achieve a desired result, both personally and professionally. So if we want to offer a product to somebody, we need to listen to what they want. It's not just like, I have this and this and this and this. You know, those telemarketing phone calls that they don't take a breath, they just reading a script. And you just go, hang on a minute, you're ringing the wrong number. You don't even have time to tell them. You know what I mean? So there's no question, and there's no, hey, this is who we are, blah, blah, blah. The same thing happens in a relationship. Oh, I need to tell you something. blah, 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 verbal diarrhea. And the person is like, hang on a minute, I'm not even with you. What are you talking about? Oh, you're not listening, right? So when it's heart-centered, is you actually want to make sure you come from a place of care or love, whatever you want to call it. And then you can listen to what, and when you're present, like you were to me, like you were on it, right? And I loved it because you were on us. That this is great role play. I mean, you and I are very good at role playing. We could role play all day, all sorts of scenarios, right? But the whole idea is when you're really present and you're watching the other person, you gauge straight away what's going on by their body language, by how they're responding, how they're breathing, and all of that. And that's when you got to step into heart center and say, oh, sorry, is this a good time? I just need to share something with you. Yeah.
So
It's,
if that's
yeah.
the case, Annie, when you say that you have to be present, it means that they are not present, or we don't get present the moment that we start to use those lines that, hey, you're not listening, listen. Okay? Because again, there's a conversation that's happening there, but some way along the way, we feel that we're not listened to. And you talk about the ego as well. So, and here's my take on the ego, and you can let me know as well if there's another distinction around this. I totally
Yeah.
agree with what you said, that the ego is there to protect. But protect what? Okay, what I've come to realize in this space is that the ego is there protecting the identity. And the moment that identity gets challenged, okay, so then the ego comes up. So say, for example, part of our identity is that, hey, I am a responsible business owner, for example. And if somewhere along the way, a client, a prospect, okay, comes up with a complaint, now that kind of challenges that identity of being a responsible business owner. Okay, so the guards would go up, right?
Yeah.
So am I on the right track? Is that what you also mean by with regard to the ego trying to protect us and so on?
I actually love what you just brought up because it is affecting one of our identities. We have a multitude of identities.
Mm,
So that is being a responsible business owner. Now, from the other perspective, from the personal perspective, when somebody is saying something that's not to our liking, we actually can fall back into the identity of the hurt inner child when
mm,
we were young, and our parents or our teacher or somebody in our life said something to us that made us, what we made it mean is that we are not good enough.
mm,
We are not clever enough. We are not pretty enough or handsome enough or whatever, right? So when that happens, is we step into one of the identities, and unless we catch ourselves and go, whoa, what's going on here?
yeah.
We're going to be present to ourselves. And this is like, I've got a seven steps to an effective communication thing. I love the number 7,
Mm,
right? Number 7 is like is it actually means something, but I know number 8 is success, but number 7, it's kind of like a lucky number, and it's a meaningful number, right? So the thing is, number 1 is presence. We have to be very present to ourselves and to the other, and the more present we are to ourselves, the more present we are actually we recognize that presence, because the more we connect to ourselves and we go, oop, that's what just come up for me, we automatically are present to the other people,
mm,
right?
mm,
So I love what you just brought up about which identity is being challenged when somebody is giving us a response or feedback that it's not what we expected. So we cannot put our expectations onto the other person. We
yeah.
need to say, oh, tell me more about that. Be present. Oh, something's come up, but hang on a minute. This is not about me. I'm here to serve you, whether it's from a business perspective or whether it's from your partnership. So let's talk about marriage here, or an intimate relationship. Whoa, you're not liking that.
Mm,
And sometimes you have to agree to disagree, but you still need to hear the other person. And people do not feel heard in a relationship.
mm.
Yeah. So how's that take on what you just said?
I like it. Okay. Well, I guess because we all like people like that. I remember I had a conversation with Thaddeus Lawrence around this. Okay, and when we talk
Yep.
about life, right? When we talk about emotions, it moves like a pendulum to positive and negative emotions. People are not just comfortable with heightened negative emotions like anger, anxiety, fear, and so on and so forth. So, and we want to live life like this, only positive and then neutral, positive and neutral. But life doesn't work that way. So, and in that sense, we get uncomfortable. And in the context of being in an argument, here's what I noticed, Annie. A lot of people don't know how to have a fight,
No, they don't.
right? And that in itself can actually sound counterintuitive to begin with. I'm not very comfortable with fighting. I don't like it. I don't like the energy that it brings. Okay? But in a way, what I've come to realize is that we got to learn to have, that straight conversation and a candid conversation. But I like what you said at the beginning where you do that with so much care. Okay?
You know what? Sorry, keep going.
No, I just want to greet those who are with us today. Okay. Hello, team. Those of you who are participating here in the chat from my end, I have Tina. We also have Leng here and about several people that are watching this feed live. Okay. Let us know what is it that you do, what's coming up for you. If you have any questions as well, let us know. Okay. Just type it there in the comments box. Okay. I've also posted there the link to our Telegram group. Okay. If you want more of this, Andy and I are present in that group. You also have Cameron Archnault there. You have JL. You have Jerica. Okay, as we intend to do this on a more regular basis. So, yes, Annie.
Yeah, and today's subject is about communication in relationships. And we are looking at, and like I'm a relationships architect, but Mac is around Success Academy, which is focused on business. Now, doesn't mean there's no relationships, but we do different things. Our specialty is different. So we are using every Wednesday is relationship day. So if you know of anybody who is challenged by relationships, tell them to come and watch this either live or watch the replay so they can actually start connecting to certain things that go on in their intimate relationships and perhaps business relationships. But I'm more focused on personal relationships. But that's what we're talking about today. So I forgot what we were talking about just before.
I have a question for you, Annie. Okay, but before that, team, the fastest way to do this is just go ahead and tag them in the comments box so that they can watch this video even on replay. Okay, go ahead, tag your friends there in the comments.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the fastest way to do it. So, Annie, when we talk about what's going on, so you can see people already arguing, right? Are there certain beliefs that are coming up? Do you notice a pattern around it? Because, the identity that we bring, we know that it comes from our own set of beliefs, right? So, are there certain beliefs that are not supportive of this?
Yeah. So just before I go into that, you were saying people don't know how to argue, and that's true. And that this is opening up like a can of worms, right? Because first of all, people don't like arguments, and why? And that again is addressing one of their identities. There's something that gets triggered. People, and as you said with the pendulum, they only want to be in a positive or neutral. There's no such thing, people. No such thing. A pendulum is meant to move. Now, it's up to you if you wanted to go to extremes or you want to learn how to just move in here. But if you look at if you look at the law of duality, so there's laws of the universe, and they're the laws of the universe, right? The law of duality states that everything has two sides. So what goes up must come down. What goes out must come in. Man, woman, yin, yang, get the point, right? So in order to understand your positive emotions, you have to also understand your negative ones. Because when you ascend in one, the other one will come with it. But when you crash, when you descend, guess which one descends first? That one, the negative one. And that's why it feels so atrocious. But the more that you actually accept that anger exists, disappointment exists, envy exists, whatever other condescendence exists, negative emotions exist. But if you understand why certain things come up, then you can look at and consciously change it. Okay, so instead of anger, what is it that I want? I want peace. What am I going to do? And this is step number 2 in effective communication, is taking full responsibility for you. full responsibility for what you say and what you don't say, because you can't blame another person for something you didn't relay to them. And what you do and what you don't do. Don't keep threatening that I'm going to leave and you never do, because the other person is not going to take you seriously, right? So you are fully responsible for what you say and how you say it, because 70% in communication is tonality, and the rest is what you say and actually body language, right? So the whole idea here is it's all on you. So when you say you're not listening, well, who raised the voice? I did. You just raised your voice as a defense mechanism to me, right? And then I just go, no, I have to outscream you, right? And did we achieve anything? Hell no. And this is why it's important to have a code of honor around arguments. You need to have a rule how you argue.
Right.
Some people swear. Some people actually swear. They use lewd words. But if there's an understanding that I'm blowing steam and that's how I blow steam, it's not directed at you. I'm not telling you to F off. I'm just effing this and effing that. Okay? And even if you say F off, it's actually just in the moment and I don't mean it. But you got to really be very centered with yourself to not take that personally.
Oh my gosh, I was about to say that. Very nice. Thank you for saying that. So a lot of people take it personally, right? So, and that's when it breaks down. It breaks down rather. Leng is saying here that I just realized my ego starts roaring when the conversation touches on my insecurities. What do you think about that? Insecurities.
Yeah, but that's where, when you said before, which identity are we talking to? So sorry, what's his name? Ben or Len?
Leng. Coach Leng, Lorena Casiano.
Oh, Leng, sorry. So Coach Leng, hi, Coach Leng. So the whole thing here is, who's insecure? The inner child, the young person, the teenager, the person in the 20s, or I'm not sure how old you are, but where in your life has something created the insecurity? So the responsibility, which is number 2, is to go and figure out why you're feeling insecure. Because when you are centered and when you have empowered yourself and you know who you are, and you're very certain about what you are discussing, then no matter what anybody says, you know your truth. But then you need to allow the other person to explain to you their truth. And this comes number 3 is intentional listening, right? And Stephen Covey, but I don't know if you guys have heard of Stephen Covey. He has a program and also he wrote a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the habits is seek first to understand and then to be understood. So unless you seek heart-centered listen with intent, what is the feedback or the response of the other person? It might not be in line with yours.
Yeah.
You've got to be responsible of your feelings, because the feelings happen inside of you, not them. They happen inside of you. They never made you feel sad. They never made you feel. What they said or what they did created the emotion, right? And then you've got the intentional listening, and then you've got to acknowledge and say, thank you for that. And then number 5, that's number 4. And number 5 is ask a question.
But hold on, Annie. So that's coming from, in a way, for a person who has really great self-mastery, right? But how about this?
Yes.
Get so upset, right? Sometimes we don't even also hear what's the clear message. Okay, and that kind of just escalates if we're not acknowledged around that. How then can you go to that space of understanding when you're so upset in the moment?
Okay.
I've been guilty about this. Okay, in
So,
many ways, yeah.
so this is where I'm going to challenge you. You just gave a reason. Well, yeah, but that comes from a place of self-mastery. Well, how do you think that self-mastery starts? It starts with hearing a concept. And then if you are interested in removing those limiting beliefs, the thing that gets triggered, again, it comes back to you is because you're hearing a concept now from us, we're sharing concepts right now. Now, if there's anything that you go, oh, how that, because there's no such thing as a quick fix. There isn't. What I would say, thank you for bringing that up, is you're in the moment. One of the things that I recommend is you got to connect to you and go, okay, oh my God, I'm reacting. What do I want to do there? And that takes practice. Now, I don't know whether you guys can see, I'm an extrovert. I love to talk. I get very excited. I get very animated. Now, I'm the type of person that blows. And even with all the mastery I've been doing for the last 11 years, I am who I am. And I'm not going to apologize for being emotional, right? And I have been told all my life, you're too emotional. Yes, I am. But what I've learned is when I feel it, I just go, I'm actually reacting right now. I'm actually getting really angry. I need to go and process this because I don't want to yell at you. And I feel like I want to point fingers, but first I need to figure it out. But that's been years of practice. The whole idea here is that if you're feeling something inside of you, you are the one that has to address it because nobody can make it better. Nobody. Because your partner, for example, can come back and say, look, I'm really sorry. Oh, it's okay. It's not. Because it's going to reoccur and reoccur and reoccur until you make a change. Don't wait for your partner to make a change. You make a change. You make a decision, right? So the whole idea is when the reaction comes, it's like, okay, what's happening?
So, Annie, here's an example, right? So, and I've used this a lot in terms of when I get upset, I would actually verbalize it like, oh my gosh, I'm just so upset right now. I'm angry. I'm pissed. Okay. And
Yes.
the reason why I feel pissed is because of this 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. And guess what happens next?
What?
Okay. In that argument, okay, whether this is the context of business, for example, the other party tends to explain themselves. And no, it's not like that. That's not my intent, and so on and so forth. So, and I would feel that by explaining, okay, that kind of undermines what I'm feeling to begin with. Do you
Absolutely.
do you also get that? So, mean to say, isn't it that the intention is not so that you can defend yourself and prove me wrong that I shouldn't be upset? I'm already upset to begin with, okay? But rather, it's about the acknowledgement part there.
That's right.
Yeah. So, what's
Absolutely.
that?
And it's like, and this is why, as you said, self-mastery is good, but it takes time. Now, how do you do self-mastery? You get yourself a coach who's going to help you connect to you, discover you, so then you know why you react the way you do. Because the person is defending because they take it personally. They think that your outburst is an attack. It's not. You just feel safe to go, I feel pissed because this, and this. At no point did you say, I feel pissed because you did that, did you?
Yeah.
Right? But the way they're listening, they're not listening heart-centered. They are listening with, I'm ready, I have to give you an answer. But when you don't, when you sit back in silence and you let the person freak out, look, it doesn't look good, it doesn't feel good, and all of that. Because again, it triggers something in our childhood. My parents argued all the time, screaming, yelling, swearing, the whole thing. It was horrible, right? So when I see that, I'm like, but I became that because I thought this is how you deal with arguments. So when I was screaming and yelling at my husband, and then he would just sit back and he shut down. Oh, you're not listening. Because I'm hearing you. But he wasn't hearing me because what he was doing, he was creating answers. And then he would come back with like, yeah, but this, and he was defending himself, whereas there was no need.
What should be the approach then instead of getting defensive around that? Well, again, to begin with, the reason why I notice people get defensive is because it feels like it's an attack to the identity and to the ego, right? So that's not
Yeah.
me. So I'm gonna defend myself in one way or another. It should be like this. You should look at it this way. But you know what I realize also, Annie, in relationship, even in business, okay? The reason why communications break down is that business partners would find themselves in relation, even friends would find themselves against each other
Yeah,
instead of looking at the problem together and solving it together,
that's
right?
wrong.
They're taking it too personally against each other. So, what should be a better take there instead of going defensive and berserk? What
Well,
do
the only thing
you
is, and this is where it's more connected to how grounded you are. I get very upset with people the way they talk to me sometimes.
Mm,
And I can see what's going on, and I'm feeling it, but I feel the emotion, I recognize it, and I go, okay, thank you for sharing. But what I know is, when I know that I'm in a right place within myself, it has nothing to do with me. There's something going on for the person. And that's when I become heart-centered, and I go, are you okay?
mm,
What? What? Are you okay? What do you mean if I'm okay? I say, well, I'm sensing, are you angry? Are you frustrated? What is it? Because you actually, the way you're talking to me, I feel like you're having a go at me. Did I do something to upset you? Is it me? And they go, no, I'm just pissed off with it. Okay, because I started to take it personally.
mm,
No. Or, well, yeah, you did this. I did? Okay, so let me see. And then if I did create something, and then I go in turn and I go, I did, I'll say, and then this is the biggest and most powerful thing that anybody can do is ownership.
mm,
Own up. And I go, oh, yeah, okay. I said, I'm a bit embarrassed. I said, but yes, I did that. I said, I'm really sorry. I'm really, really sorry. Now, is there anything that I can do to make
mm.
it better for you? Has all of this been heart-centered?
Yeah, so far.
It was about the person. Because when I find out that I did something, by the way, I'm human and I still stuff up. So I can do things a particular way. Now, if nobody tells me, I wouldn't know. But if somebody pulls me up on it, I am embarrassed. There's a little bit of shame there. And then I go, get over yourself, Annie,
Mm,
because my whole thing is I want this relationship to work. What's
mm,
the intent? And I don't want to hurt anybody, right? And I want to learn.
mm,
Because the whole thing in any relationship, be intimate or professional, when there is a disagreement, it's about growth. Do you want to grow,
mm.
or you just want to be right? That's the question. And if you can ask yourself, what am I going to do next? And that's on you. It's not on the other person. Don't wait for the other person. Right?
Yeah, but you say in business doesn't, there's no grudge in business, right? There is no grudge in business. And yet a lot of entrepreneurs make the mistake that when they take it too personally, they would burn bridges, and then the business relationships then just ends right there. But if you really think about it, businesses, companies, your products, they don't have any grudge as to any customer or whatsoever. Okay? And it's only because business owners take it too personally, right?
Can I
So,
share a story in relation to that?
of course.
Yeah. So I met a man on LinkedIn many years ago. He reached out to me. He said he liked my posts. I did a lot of mindset posts 7 years ago and stuff like that. So he wanted to meet me. So we went out, and as soon as we met, it was on. We got on really well. We got kicked out of the restaurant. We went there for breakfast, and it was after lunch. It was amazing, right? So we stayed in touch over the years. He actually started a fantastic association that supports men in business. And I was excited because I've been looking for a support group like that, because I think a lot of men are not being supported, and they can't be vulnerable in business because it can affect It can affect, especially when they're high up, like CEOs, D level and C level. They keep a lot to themselves, and they're always alone, right? So this guy created this amazing association. So then I commented and I said, I'm so excited. They brought me in. I did a webinar when COVID just kicked in 2020, right? So he just started it. And as he had these big dreams for it. And he had sports personalities, TV personalities, like really great connections. And he said, yeah, we want to use you, and I haven't heard from him, right? And every time I called or connected with him, I was sort of, waved off, and I was going. So I made it mean like, I'm not good enough. I'm not in that group. I'm not a CEO, but I am. I'm the CEO, CFO, CIO, everything of my own business, right? Yeah. So I took it personally, and then I went, hold on, Annie, hold on. This is not about you. There's something that's going on for him because I know him, right? And then one of the people that was part of this business has called me and said to me, oh, well, you don't fit the image, right? And I kind of went, oh, wow. And then I kind of went, no, let me just leave it, because I'm taking this personally, and I'm gonna attack. And I just let it be. And for a little while I wasn't supporting it. And then I went, Annie, you silly goose. Do you still believe in what they stand for? Absolutely. Go back and support it. And I did. And we just reconnected at the end of the last year. We had coffees, we had chats, we had all sorts of things. And I just went, if I allowed my ego to take over, I would have destroyed a great relationship with a person. Will they use me in their association or not? It doesn't matter. Because what matters is my relationship with this amazing human being. And now I also met his partner, who's another amazing human being. And I'm just like, wow. So it's very, very careful that we stay connected to ourselves, because when it comes to communication, people say what they say, Chinese whispers, right? You need to be very, very connected to yourself. So I don't know if this answered the question. But if I didn't stop myself and I've gone, yeah, I could have shot myself in the foot big time and lost an amazing connection that has been there for 7 years in my life.
Very nice. Wow.
Yeah. So it's very important, whether it's your partner, whether it is business partners, even your family members. How many family members have pulled apart because of what's going on in the world? And my question to those people is, do you love your other person less because they made different choices? Ponder that, right?
Good. So Annie, earlier you were talking about step number 5 or 6, right? It's about asking the question. That's 5. Ask a question, right? So
Yes.
what's 6, and then what's 7?
Okay, so 6 was tonality, which I covered already. So it's very, very important. I can't see my notes. There we go. Yeah. So tonality, yeah, it's very, very important. And then number 7 is asking permission. Asking permission to share a particular subject or topic or whatever it is.
Or an opinion, right?
That just say, listen, I would love to share something. I'm not sure how it's going to land on you, but would it be okay? It might be challenging, but would it be okay? Because this is what's coming up for me. Would that be okay? And they go, yeah. And then I say what I have to say, and then they get all upset, and I go, okay, that upset you. So, but do you remember I've actually asked permission?
Right.
And they go, oh yeah. Right? So once they give you permission, because what happens in general with people when they have dialogue is they just go blah. They don't ask, well, okay, I'm hearing you, but I actually have a different point of view. Would it be okay if I share that with you?
Mm, mm, mm.
Changes the dynamic. But did you see how I changed my tonality too? Did it sound heart-centered? So the whole idea is you want this, whatever this communication dialogue that is happening, to have a great outcome for both
Mm.
the other person and for me. So you go into any conversation with intention. Now, the whole thing is it going to work every time? No. No. There's no absolutes in anything.
Mm.
However, if the blowout happens, you got to have a rule around that, a code of honor around that. That when we calm down, we come back and we finish the circle.
Good. Team, everyone who's watching right now and listening to this, has this been helpful for you? Type helpful in the comments box. If this has been helpful for you, go ahead, share this as well. Click the share button right now. Okay, and okay, here's the algorithm of Facebook. If this has been helpful, we would like to reach more people, okay? So I'd like you to click on the reaction button. Okay, don't just click the like button, not just the thumbs up. Instead, click on the heart button. Okay, because Facebook prioritizes those posts with the heart reaction. Okay, weird stuff, really, because Facebook wants it to be more organic. And you're part of the conversation, okay? So go ahead, click on the heart sign right now. All you have to do is long press that thumbs up. It's going to come up with a heart button. Okay, good. Well done. And so, Annie, as we reach the top of the hour, I want to ask you again, can you please summarize what are those 7 steps that we can take so that we can be more effective in our conversations, in our communication, whereby we would feel more acknowledged, more recognized, and heard, okay? And the communication doesn't break down. What are those 7 steps again?
Okay. So number 1 is presence. So be present to yourself, and therefore you'll be present. You will understand how to be present to others. Number 2 is responsibility for what you say, how you say it, and your own feelings, and also what you do. Number 3 is intentional listening, not just hearing, because we hear everything all the time. We even hear silence. But listening is listening with intent to understand. Number 4 is acknowledge and say, thank you for sharing. And then number 5 is ask a question. Because if you ask a clarifying question, you might not have to say anything after that because you understand where the other person comes from. Number 6 is actually using the right tonality. So use heart-centered tonality. Because you can actually talk like this, yeah, I really understand. Or, yeah, I really understand. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. It's very different. So you can change tonality. You can go really low. And it's all about playing with your voice. And number 7 is asking permission to share. You practice this. I can tell you because I have practiced this because I was challenged with every single one of these in my life. I would just blow up like no tomorrow. So if you practice this, every single one of them, one by one, you will actually have great communication skills.
I love that. Team, how many of you agree with me that if you work on these seven habits, actually, if you think about it, right? 7 principles, this is going to change your life, right? Type agree in the comments box if you agree with me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and again, if you're finding this conversation helpful, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to post the link to our Telegram group. And I'm going to post it here as well in Zoom so that you can copy and paste it in your own profile. There you go. Okay, there you go, team. Okay, it's there in the comments box or in the comment section. Once you click like, it's going to take you to the Telegram group of Exponential Traction. Everyone is present there, okay? And more people are also present. People like you, like-minded people like you who are interested in growing yourselves, growing your relationships, becoming more effective in your lives, right? Okay, and again, the way to react to this, if you're liking this, don't just click on the thumbs up button. Okay, long press on that one. Click on the heart button so that this actually gets on top of the algorithm of Facebook and it gets to be seen by more people. Okay, click the share button. Share this in your own profiles so that your friends as well would be able to see this. I truly appreciate all of you guys. Okay, so as we circle back, okay, today we were talking about effective communication. Annie, what's your final message to anybody and everybody who's watching right now?
The last thing I want to say is take it easy on yourself.
Mm.
Don't Self-beating is not going to get you anywhere. It's if you step into responsibility and go, okay, I reacted, oh well.
Mm.
No, you are human. And effective relationships, and it starts with you to have a great relationship with yourself. And when you are settled within you and you know who you are, there's not many things that are going to throw you off because you're secure in yourself and who you are. And when you start practicing a lot of these things, and if anybody here wants to know more, well, we can support you with that. You want us to create a workshop or something around this, Mac's going to make it happen. We are very happy to come and teach you anything that you want to learn, because that's what we are about. We are about contributing to your well-being and for you to lead a beautiful life, right? So if you want for us to create a workshop around this, let us know and we'll do it. But
Truly.
you need to communicate with us, and please share this forward. And when you share, put in at the top, why are you sharing this? Why did you find this live beneficial? Because a lot of people, when you just click share, people not going to sit there and watch a 1 hour live. But if you tell them this is really good about communication, those people that really want to understand how to communicate better will go, okay, grab a cuppa and sit and watch this. Something like that. There's Netflix and then there is growth. Whatever, whichever way you want to share it. So
Right.
thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for listening. For those of you that are watching the replay, if you have any questions, make sure that you put in a comments box below, and we will address all of that going forward. So
Excellent.
that's me. Thank you, Mac.
Thank you, Annie. And my final thoughts for this team is that I'd like to focus on three areas and how you can become better in your communication so that you feel heard, so that you feel acknowledged, and you feel recognized. Okay, truly agree with number one, being present. And being present is about holding the space so that the other person can be who they are and not to take it personally, but allow them to express whatever it is that they are trying to express. The second one would be about acknowledgement. And when we talk about acknowledgement, remember those times when you don't feel you are being acknowledged. One of the reasons why you feel that way is because it feels like you're not able to communicate your emotions. Isn't that the case? Because what I believe is that emotions are our way of communicating the things that we couldn't put in words. That's the role of emotions. So that's why, in order for the other person to feel acknowledged, then go ahead and tell them what is the emotion that you're seeing. Acknowledge them, like say, okay, I'm seeing that you're really upset right now. I'm seeing that I feel that you are being frustrated. Those simple words is already a form of acknowledgement without judgment, without putting blame. You're just simply acknowledging the emotion. It actually allows people to calm down and take a breath. Okay, and the third part with this, highlighting on permission. A lot of people just go ahead, putting out their own opinions and judgments out there without preparing the other person for you to go ahead with it. Okay, and guess what happens when we are not ready to receive? We become more defensive. Why? Because again, we're not ready. Okay, the natural tendencies of people is that we protect that identity. So go ahead and ask permission. So this is me, Mac, and I truly appreciate all of you for being here. Thank you so much, and we'll see you back on Friday. Okay, on Friday we're gonna be talking about marketing. We're gonna be having Carmen Arsenal live with us. Okay, and watch this space theme, because if there are other opportunities for us to go live, we'd be live as well on Mondays as well as on Thursdays. All right. So truly appreciate all of you. Go ahead, join the Telegram group. And that's it for now. Have a great lunch, everyone. Have a great day, whatever the case may
Have
be
a
for
great
you.
day, everybody. Bye.
Bye for now.
See you later.
Well done. Thank you, Annie. Truly appreciate you.
Back at ya.
Yep.